Hey, it's Val. Just doing a short video today. I'm going to be going out soon to the land of the three-dimensional people, but just for continuity's sake, wanted to get another video up, sort of just like a day in the life sort of thing. A couple days ago, I got a haircut. Just got one locally, walked a couple of blocks where there's like five beauty salons on the block and just went into one and got my hair cut. And I I like long hair. I like growing my hair out long, but not really for fashion reasons. I just don't like going to a hair salon. Um I just don't like going to the hair salon. So to me, like, it's long hair is the practical option. Short hair, I mean, the problem with short hair is, like, like especially like guy hair and stuff like that. Like, that seems to be something that has to be maintained, right? Because, like, a guy goes into, like, gets their hair like cut short or whatever. That's like something that has to be maintained, right? Or else it starts to look shaggy and it starts to look bad, and then it starts to then you get into this awkward period. I mean, I would guess, and then, like, maybe you decide, I'm gonna have it like longer or whatever, just because you don't want to cut your hair, but it's all awkward and stuff. What I discovered years ago is just let my hair grow. Just let it grow. So I was just letting it grow. And so I just walked into the hair salon, and the same place I went to a year before, and different stylist though. And she looks at me, and she goes, "You have heavy hair." She said, "You have heavy hair. Oh my goodness. How do you want this cut?" And I said, "I would just like about 5 to 7 inches all the way around, and that's it." And she's like, "No." "How would you like this cut? You need layers. You have heavy hair. You need layers. Go on your phone. Find me pictures. Find me pictures of long hair with layers and show me which one you want, and I will cut it. But you need layers." So apparently I need layers. And the last time I went to the salon, I had my had a different stylist. It was this young guy, and I just, like, basically said, "Yeah, just cut it all the way around, like 5 inches, 7 inches, whatever." And he just said, "Okay," and he did that, and so that's all it was. So there weren't any layers, but she was just insistent there had to be layers. Um, and so she cut it, and it looks great. The layers certainly help. But again, it's hard for me to get to a salon. I try to grow out my hair to as much as humanly possible, but the hair was long. The hair was long. The hair was like, getting into, like, my oatmeal. The hair was getting like caught indoors. The hair was, like, if you turned a certain way, like, if you're sleeping, like, the hair would just strangle you, this and that. So I knew I had to cut it. So it's cut, and all is right with the world. So I cut my hair, and then I've also been, I guess there's like a theme going here, because it's like, I got like 7 inches cut off this thing, and then, like, I decided to do like another round of sort of cuts to, like, my various, like, collections, like toy collections and stuff like that. And I basically knocked like about a third of the entire collection, like everything, just kind of went through it and got like a third that I'm going to sell, and stuff like that, because it's too much. It was like the hair. It was like the heavy hair. It's just, I love collecting. I've always been a collector of one thing or another. Like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, I used to collect vinyl records. I love collecting things. But for me personally, there comes a point where this internal clock goes off at a certain amount of stuff that I've collected. After a certain amount of stuff is accumulated, this internal clock goes off. And I'm like, I gotta, I gotta purge some of this stuff. This is too much stuff. And this is not to put down people who do have tremendously large collections of certain stuff, because some of those people are like these amazing curators, right? And some just have like a private collection, but they're really, like, great at organizing them, and they know what they have, and everything like that. And some are, go on YouTube, obviously, and they're again, they're the curators. They have like a museum, right? So it's like an unbelievable amount of records or dolls or books, whatever, but they have a system. They have a system in place. And, they can show you all the stuff and like it's like history and it's wonderful and this and that. But I think like in my lifetime, I've known too many cases where this has not happened. And so for me personally, I have an internal clock that goes off when I have a certain amount of stuff, and it's like gotta go through it. So I went through it and went through my dolls and my action figures, stuffed animals, and blah blah blah, and just was like ruthless, right? And so I just have like a pile that's probably going to go on eBay or whatever. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. And then I was like frustrated with myself because I really did go through every single item, and I was frustrated at how much I still kept. I was frustrated. Like it was like because I had done this type of purge last summer. So there already was this has already been stuff that's been sorted through but added to over the past year. So I'm going through it again, and it's like I'm frustrated how much I'm keeping, But then at the same time, it's like I like some stuff I like. So it's just this fine balance. But one of the things I found is I had bought this extremely cheap lot of stuff from the early 1980s movie adaptation of Little Orphan Annie. Remember that movie? I bought like a lot off eBay like 8 months ago, a year ago, like really super cheap. And let me just just as like a sidebar here, if you buy lots of stuff that are really really like lots of collectibles, like you buy a lot on eBay and it's like collectible vintage stuff. It's incredibly cheap, incredibly cheap. Keep in mind that collection may have issues. That's all I'm saying. The collection may have issues. So I'm going through the Annie stuff, and I really didn't even really go through it the first time. Now I'm going through it in the box, and everything is slightly musty. So like some of the stuff is just going right to the chute, and but I find this book. Okay, I find this book. Let's see if I can do it this way. Okay. I find the Little Orphan Annie book. All right, and now when I was like 10 years old, maybe 11, but probably more like 10, my school did a Little Orphan Annie play. So this was a very top of mind movie. It was like really important to like just that peer group and environment and everything was this movie. And so yeah, I think it was like probably around 10 going on 11. They the school's going to do like a musical, whatever, and the teacher's auditioning kids for different roles. And I really wanted to be Miss Hannigan. I wanted to be Miss Hannigan because I really like Carol. I loved Carol Burnett. I thought she, super genius comedian, and I really wanted to play Miss Hannigan because I really loved Carol Burnett. But teacher is like, no, because it involved a lot of singing. And apparently I was not up to snuff on in the singing department. Comedy I was tops, but the singing it's a lot of singing. It's a lot of singing. So and I was just like, Miss something or other. I'm not going to say her name, but I mean I don't even know if she's still alive like after all these years. But anyway, like I go like I need a good meaty part in this play. It's really important. I know I've been born to perform. I just please give me like a nice meaty role for this play, for the Little Orphan Annie play. And so she thinks, and my teacher goes, and then she's like, you know what? I have the perfect role for you, and has a bunch of lines. I mean, it's not like the top, like the top 4 or 5 characters, but it's close, and it's a great role, and you're gonna love it. Now, guess what that role was? The Little Orphan Annie movie adaptation, school play. What was that role? All right. Now I'm gonna should have bookmarked this, but I'm going to go in here. And this book I showed you, by the way, like this was like the actual book I remember. I think it's probably Scholastic. We have book club edition. Like, yeah, like this is the exact book I remember. But I want to show you the role that I received. It was sort of a consolation prize for not being chosen to be Miss Hannigan. Where is that? We're close. Here we are. All right, I'm going to do this. All right. Let's see if I can do this. Who is this? Okay, who is this person? Who is this? Who is this? On the other side. On the other side, who is this? Who's that? My God, I am as coordinated as Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That's the role she gave me to play in the Annie movie. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd president of the United States. This is the role she chose for me. And yeah, that's it. And so then I go home and I tell my mom, I was like, Mom, yeah, I've just school play. I've just been, assigned the role of FDR and Annie. And my mom was like, she's just, see, she doesn't like that teacher doesn't like it. She's messing with you. She's messing with you, giving you that role. She's messing with you. And I have mixed feelings about it. I have mixed feelings about the role because on one hand, it's not really what I wanted. It's just kind of a weird role to have. But on the other hand, I'm like, what are the comedic dimensions I could add to this? Like there's just, 32nd President of the United States, FDR, So, they give me a wheelchair. They give me a wheelchair to ride out into the stage with. And for the outfit, for the suit, I wore my dad's old Holy Communion outfit from when he was like 10 or 11, which wasn't weird at all. And I think they put some salt and pepper in my hair until I was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And so, and I had it was a pivotal role, and I had lines and stuff like that. But I was like, how can I really make this role special? How can I really just give it that added that added artistic, and and I'm like 10 years old at the time. Like, what can I do? So I decided, because I wanted to give it that added comedic, special little thing. I decided that when I did, so what's the famous line from FDR? It's, you have nothing, to fear but fear itself, right? And so what I was going to do was I was going to say the line, you have nothing to fear, and then I was going to pretend to forget the entire line, right? And just be like, what's the rest of the line? This and that, and just like, everything would be silent, and that would be like my comedic thing, because like everybody knows that line already, right? But it would be really funny. See, the comedy, the Andy Kaufman-esque comedy would be just like, I forgot, you have nothing to fear but what? Taxes? Almonds? So that was like my genius idea when I was 10 years old, and I did it. I pulled it off twice. And my teacher hated me. My teacher hated me. Absolutely hated me. But that's my FDR story. And yeah. So but love that Carol Burnett. I don't know if I exactly have that Carol Burnett type humor. I think it's a little more in this sort of annoying Andy Kaufman-esque a little bit thing, but still, that was an experience. And so anyway, yeah, so I'm just clearing out some stuff, just sort of downsizing a little bit, just as like a personal thing of like, the alarm went off in my, the personal alarm went off, and, and I was just like, yeah, I have too much stuff. And that's the other thing about collecting. If collectors out there can relate, there comes a point where you're done collecting. There comes a point when you're done collecting. Like you're done, like you just like, this is the amount of room that's reasonable for my collection to take each, to take the place of, right? To inhabit. Because and again, like I've collected books, I've collected thousands of comics, vinyl records, So, but there just comes a point where you're like, all right, this is unless I'm really willing to get rid of a bunch of stuff, like I think this collection is done, and I could just sit here with this collection, be like, and admire it for the rest of my life, or I could, get rid of some of it and maybe get more of it, or maybe I'm just done with the whole thing and I'm on to another collection. Um, which is what happened with my vinyl records, because like I had like 200, 300 vinyl records, and then it's like, the collection is done. And I just sort of downsized. I had like 50 records, and it was sort of like the collection was over. So, but I know there's other people who are like that, who, again, like I said, are curators, curators of these beautiful museums of stuff. I am not among them. There just comes a point where it's just like, I'm claustrophobic of this stuff, and then it's like, I need to downsize the stuff. So that's what I'm doing. And that's it. It's Friday. I hope you guys have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. And and pretty much this is air conditioner weather. It's the beginning of spring, of not spring. My God, where did spring go? It's the beginning of summer, and it's really air conditioner weather. So I've got to really figure out. I'm gonna put the air conditioner on when I do the video. It's gonna make a lot of noise. I don't know, but I'm just rambling. I hope you're all doing great. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye.